Aloha, Mukan. As always, it's wonderful to see you. Today's new chord is an augmented chord. It just doesn't mean one chord is augmented, they're all augmented. When we have a major chord, we've got our triad. So if we were to play a C major, we'd have a C, E, and G, 1, 3, and 5. Well, when we had our A major, A, C sharp, and E, we moved our E and our C sharp, we moved our C sharp and our A, our 1 and our 3, back a half step. So in the key of C, what's our 1 and our 3? Our 1 is our C, and our 3 is our E. So if we played the same C major, but we moved just these two notes backwards, we get a C augmented. Now what this does, it changes the tone at which our ear is vibrating, and it fluctuates the intervals at which the other notes correspond to that. In the key of A, like in just a blues, that's an A, so A major to a B minor, which is a 1, 2. If I were to call out all the chords in A major, I'd have my 3 sharps. I'd have F sharp, C sharp, and G sharp, which would be my 3rd, my 6th, and my 7th. A major, B minor, C sharp minor, D major, E major, F sharp minor, and then our G sharp diminish. That resolves back to our A major. Now, what we were saying about our G sharp diminish is whenever you're playing your chords A, B, C, D, E, if we take our E major and we make our E major an E dominant 7, meaning we're going to move that E back past the D sharp over to a D, meaning that whole tone, it changes E major past the E major 7 to an E dominant 7. Our E dominant 7 is also known as our 7th tone. So in A, it would be in E, E, F sharp, G sharp, A, B, C sharp, D sharp. So a D sharp diminish, when we play our D sharp diminish, we can also think of our 5th as being that tone, but down. So the same thing applies to augmented chords. If I'm in the key of A, and I wanted to hear what an augmented chord that would resolve to A, or what a augmented chord would resolve to B flat, I could do an F, oh darling, to that same B flat. Thusly, I could do an F sharp augmented, oh darling, into a B major, and so forth, and so on. So what I'd like you to do is come back next week and tell me what key you're in and pick one augmented. If it's in the key of A, you can pick the E augmented, which means A, B, C, D, E, E augmented. If you're in the key of D, D, E, F, G, A augmented. How do I play an A augmented? Find the A note, drop your fingers down and play. Oh. Does that make sense? I hope it does. Your new chord of the week is augmented chords, all of them, not just one. So when you get it, what you're going to want to do is play it with your rhythm. Here's your rhythm exercise. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 2 and 2 and 3 and 4. First fingering. Second fingering. First fingering. Second fingering. Groovy. So the song that we chose to do this week for our song is another Beatles tune, but I gotta tell you, the Beatles are just wonderful. The way that they use the different movements on their fingers and the different chords they use, the chords are so gosh darn simple, but when you play them in context to each other with the harmonies they wrote, it's just beautiful. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna say, this song is in the key of C sharp. However, the Beatles, they don't play with capos, so when they recorded this, the whole song was recorded a half step down. Their whole instruments were tuned down. In fact, sometimes back in the day, to get that sound, there was something called a reel-to-reel, which had tape wound around it. And when the Beatles played, the sound that would come out of their instrument was this. But when they put their thumb on that reel, it would slow the progress of what the reel would be, and it would make the chord sound a little bit lower because you were slowing down the rate at which the chord was going to be played back because it was being recorded slower. Very interesting. Long story short, this is in the key of C sharp. You would put a capo at the first fret and play the C as you were. But it's not in C sharp for us. We're gonna do it in C, so it's easier on our fingers. So what I'd like you to do only for next week is understand the idea of doing a left hand finger mute, meaning you're gonna play your C, but instead of letting those notes ring out and be legato and just keep going until they decay, until they slowly get quieter, we're gonna play that and then we're gonna cut out the sound. It's gonna be called staccato, S-T-A-C-C-T-O. That's not right, S-T-A-C-C, staccato. So what we do is when we take our fingers off, they're gonna lift up there, but our hand is ever so slightly gonna put our fingers down on all the strings so nothing comes through. When we play the C, we're gonna alternate just our third finger back and forth between the C, G, C, G. Big F chord, back to C, G, C, C, G, C, or C, with the G in the bass. Here's what it'll look like slow. When I get older, losing my hair, many years from now, will you still be sending me a Valentine, birthday greeting, go full wine? If I've been out to 2:45, would you lock the door? Will you still need me? Will you still feed me when I'm 64? All those chords are C major with a G, C major with a G, F major, G major, C with a G, C. Do it again. C with a G, C with a G, F, G, C with a G, C. That's the whole intro. When Paul starts singing, he does the alternating C, G. Notice how I'm plucking the fifth and strumming. Pluck the fifth, strum, pluck the sixth string. Pluck the fifth string, strum, pluck the sixth string. When I get older, losing my hair, many years from G major, then you're going to turn your G major into a G major with a bar chord, and what you're going to do is the same thing. You're going to alternate that fifth and sixth string for the bass, but this time it's switched. You're going to do the first note on the sixth string, then the fifth string. It'll look like this: G, D, G, D, G, G, A, B flat, B, C, G, C. That bass note is just the movement all the instruments do together to signify a clear bass walk up. Here's what it sounds like together in slow motion. Here's what it sounds like up to speed. When I get older, losing my hair, many years from now, will you still be sending me a Valentine's, birthday greeting, bottle of wine? If I've been out till 2:45. At this point, you're going to move your C major chord to make a C major 7. Now, I know you know how to do your C major scale. So if we had 1 for your C, 2 for your D, 3 for your E, half step for your fourth F, whole step for your G, for your fifth, A is going to be your sixth, and then your seventh, this note is going to be your B, which means when you play C, E, and then B flat, you now have a dominant 7, because we know how to go a C major, C major 7, C dominant 7. Either way you play that C7, you're going to play a major, C, and then put your pinky down on the G string at the 3rd fret, thusly giving you the B flat for that B7. Here's what it sounds like in context. When I get older, losing my hair, many years from now, will you still be sending me a Valentine, birthday greeting, bottle of wine? If I've been out till 2:45, here it is. Would you, hear how it moves? Would you lock the door? F major. Concentrate on not bending these down and keeping your elbow out of your crotch. Move that out by doing the funky chicken. Taking a deep breath and then sitting up straight. Make sure that bar chord is not so much on the fretting, but in the middle, and then powerhouse it with your E major, which you're super great at. F major, remove the 3rd to F minor, to a C major, then to A, D major, G7, then C. That G7 looks like a G major, except our G isn't up here. Just like any 7th chord, we take the G and we drop it down a half step, then a whole step. It's a major 2nd away. Here's what the whole thing looks like. When I get older, losing my hair, many years from now, will you still be sending me a Valentine, birthday greeting, bottle of wine? If I've been out till 2:45, would you lock the door? Will you still need me? Will you still feed me when I'm 64? That's all we're going to do this week. Next week, we're going to get into how we go to the relative minor, the minor 6 for the A minor. Every summer we can do a yada da dee dee and do do do. So we're going to go over what those chords are. But guess what? We're in the key of C. No sharps, no flats. C major, D minor, E minor, F major, G major, A minor, B diminished, and C major. It's wonderful seeing you. We'll see you next one.